Hello, and thank you so much for joining us on Thanksgiving weekend for your Smackdown post show. It is November 29th. It's the go home to WWE Survivor Series, and I don't have Alex Cardozo with me today. I got someone who pinch hits for us all the time in every way, shape, and form. He was behind the paywall while I was at Full Gear with Alex Pulowski. I love the chat saying, I love you post show, throwing up the ones. What's going on, Andy Brown? We see you in the chat. Happy Thanksgiving weekend. Please leave a thumbs up on this video. Get in your super chats. Get in your humper chats at humperchats.com. So much news going on. Sean's at WrestleCade, so he's going to be coming back with even more. I'm on both sides of the screen. Acknowledge me. Like, there's so much happening right now, but both Penta and Phoenix had contract news going up there today. Thank you. Thank you, SP3, for acknowledging me. It's just like, thank you. So much going on FightfulSelect.com, but that contract news with Penta and Phoenix is definitely something that's very interesting. Tons of news coming out about Ricky Starks this week on As the Starks Turns, as we've been calling it. That poor guy. Up and down for that dude, but stay tuned to FightfulSelect.com for more. Please leave a thumbs up so people can find us in the algorithm and get in those super and humper chests to talk about this episode of Smackdown. Being joined by SP3, my normal Thursday night co-host. I love when I get to stream with him. What I thought, especially for a go-home, was a pretty decent Smackdown tonight. What did you think overall?
It was a go-home that was pre-taped. And it actually went well. I thought it was a pretty well done go home show. A lot of focus on the Bloodline War Games. We got a segment for the Women's War Games matchup. We got build for the United States Championship match. This was all of the go home stuff that I wanted from Monday Night Raw and didn't get. So I am happy with tonight's show.
Yeah, there's been a funny imbalance to me of Raw was outpacing SmackDown for a while. Now it seems like SmackDown is outpacing Raw, even though the Raw is the one that's going to get $1 billion. Like, it feels like that's coasting right now. And SmackDown is kind of picking up because they're probably going to be expanding into 3 hours. I don't think we've confirmed that yet, but that seems to be kind of the general belief. But the go-homes in general have gotten a little bit better. And I too was impressed that this was a pre-tape and still had some meat on the bone to it. I really liked it. So we're going to dig in here, but instead of kind of going through segment by segment, especially on a night like tonight, we're going to kind of just go through the hits and then make sure that we're getting the full review in. But a lot of people were anticipating this Roman Reigns and CM Punk segment, and a lot of productive stuff happened in a very short time. I still, and I mean this genuinely, I don't know if I like these extremely dramatic little movies that get inserted into things. I think they're good. I just don't know if I like them. Because, like, for me, the style of the Kevin Owens thing is always going to speak to me. But considering how much justification they had to get into something in a really, really short time, I thought they did a good job getting there. I'll run it down and then get SP3's thoughts, the chat's thoughts. I see more of you filing in as we're talking about it. Thank you so much for joining us on your Black Friday evening here on Thanksgiving weekend. But we have Paul Heyman sitting down with Roman Reigns. He's in Solo Sikoa's style suit still, so interesting symbolism there. But Roman right off the bat goes, this guy that keeps me waiting, that doesn't work for me, brother. CM Punk finally sits down to join them, and Punk says he doesn't have a lot of time. And I did like this for a moment. He says, oh, good thing you showed up late then if you don't have a lot of time, which was my thought. So I was glad he verbalized it. But Punk says he didn't show up for Roman. He showed up for Heyman. He says that like 3 times in here. This is one of my few writing complaints with this segment. I was like, yeah, we get it. You said you were showing up for Heyman 6 times in here. But Roman says he doesn't want Punk's help. He doesn't like him. He doesn't like his attitude. He doesn't want to team with him. Not even if there was a fire, SP3, does he want to deal with this guy. But Paul Heyman, the voice of reason as always, says, you know, Roman, if you don't accept Punk's help, the bloodline's over. Like, Solo's had your number every step of the way. And then he turns to Punk and says, if the bloodline ends because you don't help them, they're just going to come for you next. So it's in both of your best interest to do this together. And Punk says that he wants revenge for what Solo did to his friend, meaning Paul Heyman. And if Roman Reigns wants to revisit the issues that they have with each other, they can do so after War Games. And he says, one time, one favor, and throws up the ones. And Roman wants to know from Paul Heyman what that favor is. And he says, let's just get through War Games and we'll talk about it later. Now, the handwriting is on the wall for a CM Punk heel turn. I have been wanting this regardless of what promotion he's worked in since he's come back. People will come at me and be like, you just hate Punk because he's in WWE now. And I'm like, no, I hate Punk because he's obsessed with beaded bracelets right now. Like, I have been wanting a heel turn from CM Punk so bad. I wanted that in AEW. It felt like we were heading there and we never got it. So I am just like salivating for this heel turn. I think the handwriting's on the wall. I think it could cost them Survivor Series. I've been of the thought process where I understand why they've had Bronson Reed and CM Punk in this. I haven't liked that we didn't properly get OG Bloodline versus New Bloodline before we got here with two others, because we also didn't have a numbers problem, right? Like, the initial numbers problem was Sami Zayn coming back to make it uneven, but then he just joined the good guy side. So the numbers were even. Like, they manufactured all of that. So I felt like just do 4-on-4. But I understand the advantages. It just would have been my preference to have that proper feud between them both before we got here. But overall, I think this segment accomplished what it needed to. I just don't know if the Judy funny dramatics of it all are like my style. But I think it's very effective, and the people that style is for, like, this is it. Like, this is their golden egg, not the Survivor Series golden egg from 2 years ago. But this is it for them. What did you think of kind of the style of this segment? Do you like them, or do you find them kind of over the top? And B, or both? A lot of people acknowledge they're over the top. And what did you think of the content? Is this enough for you to buy into them working together tomorrow for Survivor Series?
For the people that love this was their big moment to be all over the social medias with cinema. It was cinema in the best way possible. These type of segments are over the top. They're overproduced. They are outrageous. And I seem to enjoy them every single time. But I will be honest with you, with one additional caveat, is that it only works with Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns, I felt, outshined Cody in the "I am the storm, in the light" on the Georgia Tech football stadium, and I feel like he outshined Punk here in this segment. A lot of that comes down to the point that you made, very well made, because I had that in my notes as well. How many times did we have to know he did this before Heyman? Dude, you didn't even need to say it. We saw that last week. Why did you need to say it so many times? We get it. We got it. Okay. I wish Roman would have verbalized that for us. Like, okay, I get it. You're here for Paul Heyman. You don't need to say it again. I wish he would have said that to him.
Yeah.
Just how many times Punk said that. That content was standing. I thought everybody played their roles very well, especially Paul Heyman being the middleman and coming up with a reason why Punk should take this matchup, and then Punk explaining the real reason why he's taking this matchup. It's not just to avenge his friend, because that's not believable for all of us that's been watching CM Punk for the better part of 2 decades. Why would Punk? Yeah, okay, cool. Punk and Paul Heyman, they're friends. He's the original Paul Heyman guy. That don't seem like CM Punk to me. He's got to be getting something out of this. So for him to be like, one time, one favor, I was like, okay, I see. I understand this. And as far as you saying the Punk heel turn, you are not alone, sister. I've been wanting Punk to be heel for the longest time. And at best, you have to look at the landscape of WWE. At best, CM Punk is the 3rd biggest babyface in the company.
Yep.
But if he turns heel, he just has to go over Gunther, who they're actively ruining his character every Monday night in this feud with Damian Priest, and Solo Sikoa, who's been one of the more polarizing push superstars in all of wrestling this year. Those are the 2 top heels. So if Punk turns heel, he's automatically the top heel in the company. So I think that it would be a good time for him to turn heel. I think they're going to pull the trigger on a CM Punk Roman Reigns feud probably around SummerSlam. I don't think that they'll be involved in what these guys are doing at WrestleMania, but these is just putting the seed in the dirt, and they're watering it right now, and they're going to allow it to grow until we get to SummerSlam next year, because I think that Punk will be involved with Rollins, and Roman will find himself in some bloodline mess by WrestleMania time.
For sure. And thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm seeing that over 2,100 of you, almost 2,200 of you are joining us on your Friday night to talk some wrestling. But the other thing with Punk turning heel, not only is there, and I can't believe I'm saying this about WWE, there is a lack of depth on the heel side. There is an overabundance of faces. Who would have thought we were going to be saying that about this promotion? Like, that's what a good job WWE has done about turning things around, and also the diversity of the types of faces we were getting. Not everybody feels like Cody. You also have LA Knight, and you also have Jey Uso, and you also have Sami Zayn. Like, all these people feel different. Kevin Owens, I think, on the heel side is running away with stuff that we're going to get into later. But to me, WrestleMania, the money match for Punk is probably Seth Rollins. If it's not going to be Stone Cold, either one of those options he should be heel for, and then Roman will be properly a face by then. So if Punk turns heel, you have Roman being a face for reasons other than, well, the crowd is cheering me, because he, like, crucially has not changed his behavior. And what I love is WWE is acknowledging that as we're going along. The rest of the roster doesn't trust this guy still. He went through over 3 years of destruction of being a heel, and they're like, you can't just walk back and get a few cheers and applause, and all of a sudden we believe you again, even if that chump Cody does, who we're going to talk about momentarily, because Kevin Owens never told a lie. So
even though it does seem like that's all it needed for Sami Zayn and Jey Uso to forgive him, because I would have sworn Sami asked Roman to say sorry to Jey. Never did, but he still joined his side. So,
you know what's so frustrating is Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are sharing a locker room, and we haven't seen a single segment between the two of those. Well, Kevin Owens is a heel and Sami is a face going back to the bloodline. For him not to be calling Sami pathetic at every turn, this version of Kevin Owens and that Sami Zayn doing this thing, we should be getting that week over week, honestly. But let's dig into some of the chats that you guys are sending. Thank you so much for them. We appreciate your support, especially this weekend. We know you were out there getting your Black Friday deal, so the fact you're still sending money to us, we very much appreciate. But Will saying Roman Reigns still acting like he's in control, but he's not. He's the dog with the house on fire. The "this is fine" meme, I think, is what you're referring to. And I do love that. Like, it feels like he's desperate to maintain the control that he's lost. And I think he's really telling that story well as we're kind of moving along. Do you feel the same way, or?
Yeah, I think that Roman has just improved leaps and bounds at, like, the little things, the little details that he applies to stuff with his facial expressions, with his kind of like, he can get very irritable at certain points, and he did that very well in this segment as well.
I love that about him too, like because it's essentially a mob boss story, right? And he really plays that calculated version of, like, you can read his emotions, but he never fully loses his cool. And in a world where so many people constantly lose their cool, he's a really refreshing presence to have. But Ricardo's saying, guess where I am? Hi, Kate, SP3, and chat. Well, hello, I think you're at work, which is such a bummer you're at work even now. But you know what? The holiday season is upon us now, right? So you're going to have to be buying gifts. You got to get to work, man. But we appreciate you sending in chats and watching us while you're at work so much. So much. Bad Robot, who's the kindest Roomba in the world, says, hello, favorite post show and happy holidays. SP3, we loved you on Quizzlemania. Kate, just sensational all the time. Thank you so much. I'm glad we're in something with KO and Drew, realistic, justified heels. KO is my hero. We're going to talk about that KO segment because that dude is just it for me. But you were on Quizzlemania, SP3.
I'm the first Black Quizzlemania champion. It's just me and Will Washington. That's my vote of confidence, my honor. I put it in my Twitter handle for a little bit. I thought you
did. I was going to say, if you weren't on there like this week, this has been going on for a little bit, but I love it. I love it. Meet Norma saying, I didn't watch SmackDown. I did stuff a smoked turkey leg with mac and cheese and wrap that in bacon. Mwah. How was y'all's Thanksgiving? By the way, I did have some veggies. I love that he's like, Kate, we acknowledge that you're vegan, even though I'm enormous. You acknowledge me as a tribal beef, and he acknowledges me as vegan is what happens there. But I've had a really, really wonderful Thanksgiving with my parents. It's been low-key, but some much-needed family time. SP3, you just got back to the States not that long ago. We were talking about this before. You caught some solo family time, right? Which is good.
Yeah, I finally got to see my family. They feel like I am like in the army and stuff, how I leave and then come back after like a 6-month excursion. So always fun to hear the jokes that they got on me. So that was fun to see them for the holiday.
That's awesome. That's open. We thank you so much for all the support too. By the way, we have now 2,600 people, almost 2,700 people watching us. We have between the free tier and the paid tier on Fightful Select 17,000 subscribers. You guys have been unbelievable with support. We are almost at 120,000 subscribers on this YouTube channel. It's wild to me that so many people allow me to just like ride Sean's coattails and get to do this most nights. We appreciate it. It allows us to function. We are truly funded by you guys and your subscriptions to us. So despite what everybody says about Tony Khan checks coming in and Triple H ones, depending on the day, we really don't. We really don't. If we did, I'm asking for a raise that I haven't gotten
Absolutely.
yet.
Come on. I'm asking for a raise in double time. I'm trying to help them out.
Yeah, man. Will Chisholm saying that I think we are getting KO and Sammy at Mania 41. That is why we haven't seen them together. This is for you, SP3, the long gamer, I think is what that says.
Long gamer. Absolutely. There you go.
What's
The
up.
Rock. The Rock's versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 42. He told me himself. When he said
he told you personally?
He told me when he told me he was the long gamer. He was like, this is a long game. I did 2 WrestleManias back in the 2010s. Well, he did 3 WrestleManias because he hosted one, and then he wrestled at 2 straight. Now he's going to wrestle at 3 straight. See?
There you go.
Long gamer.
Long gamer indeed. Well, let's talk about this Kevin Owens segment because this might have been my favorite thing on the show. I am also just like the biggest KO simp in the world, though. Like, just full-heartedly admit that. Like, I love Kevin Owens as a heel. You were talking about the lack of heels just kind of in general in WWE right now, but now there's such better justification for heel turns, but nobody does it better than Kevin Owens. So when you have writing that matches his intention and you get segments like this is so for me. He basically says, let me explain to you why I'm right about Cody Rhodes and how he's a bad friend. He recaps how the Bloodline treated him in 2021. Cody, and then this was what clinched it for me. Like, I'm just rooting for Kevin Owens. He says, Cody Rhodes was in the building when Kevin Owens was chained to the ropes at Royal Rumble by the Bloodline, and Cody was just nowhere to be found. Some friend. But when Roman needed him, he was right there. And he kind of calls himself the Canadian Nightmare, which I absolutely love. But I was
Canadian
just like,
Dream.
The Canadian Dream. I'm sorry. Yeah, even better. Even better. My 2 thoughts about this were Kevin Owens is the best, and also this should be on Survivor Series. Like, I feel like this is by far the best thing that they've done with Cody Rhodes' reign. My cousin in the chat, what up, Michael, saying that they both deserve raises. Like, I really feel like Kevin Owens just is unbelievably valuable no matter what they put him in. And this is the most interesting thing I made football fields, miles of football fields that has happened in Cody's reign, like this rivalry for sure. Your thoughts on this KO segment? I thought the justification was awesome, and him just being like, that's the way it is so great.
I just love Kevin Owens when he has a point to make and he feels justified in how he's feeling, and especially when he does it as a heel. It's just great stuff. And this pre-tape promo between this and the Punk and Roman stuff, I was like, the pre-tape stuff was the best stuff on this show because this was really damn good. Kevin Owens cutting a promo and just making sense out of everything. And I remember all the beatdowns, the golf carts running him down at Royal Rumble 2021. He didn't even mention that he won that match, but the referee allowed Paul Heyman to uncuff Roman Reigns and stuff like that. But I also like him mentioning Royal Rumble 2023 and the fact that Cody was nowhere to be found. Cody didn't help him. Cody was in the post-media scrum. but he ain't helped Kevin Owens. Like, what are you doing, sir? What are you doing? But
What a
he had
good
his
guy.
back. He had his back when he needed it against the Bloodline, but then he want to have Roman's back against the Bloodline. Nah, that's too far.
Too far.
I 100% agree with you. Why isn't this on Survivor Series? Why do we have Shinsuke Nakamura, who returned a cup of coffee ago, facing LA Knight on this show when they need more weeks to build to their matchup? And that should probably be on Saturday night's main event. And Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes could be on Survivor Series and Saturday night's main event. How about we do the match at Survivor Series, end it in a schmoz, Owens hits him with the apron powerbomb and goes nuts and call the match off, and it leads to a street fight at Saturday night's main event. How about some creativity, Triple H, where you're not keeping one of the matches that people want to see from this card on tomorrow night? Instead, it's basically a one-match show, if we're really being honest. I feel like when the bell rings, the Women's War Games is going to be great.
Of course.
But the build
story
to it
has been bad.
Has not. It has not. So this is a one-match show going into tomorrow night, and it could have been at least a two-match show if he would have done Cody and KO.
Full agreement on that. It's a head-scratcher for sure. There's been a couple of PLEs without Cody defending, and I'm like, he's the number one merch seller in the company. Everybody's in love with him except for Kevin Owens and Kevin Owens stands. Like, I don't know, but Tim McFowle saying, joining a bit late, but happy Thanksgiving, though I'm Canadian. Well, we appreciate that. I went to see Wicked instead of watching Smackdown, still overwhelmed with feels, but here to support the ROH crew and Kevin Owens. He is the face. I saw Wicked with my family. Ariana Grande is unbelievable in that movie. Like, vocally, she's great, and we've known that. Her comedic timing is unreal. She is so good there. And I also like how many jokes can you make of like, her sister was a witch? And what was her? The Wicked Witch of the East, bro! Like, that's all that was going through my head through all of that. Grow up! But thank you so much for the chat. Thank you so much. This is that was a fun movie. It was very long. It was like 2.5 hours, but
I did not know that.
Yeah, and it was like when I watch wrestling, I'm like, they could have cut here, they could have cut here. Put another women's match in, right? That's what I'm always saying. So
put another women's match, damn it. Stop giving us 5 matches, Triple H.
That's right. I will say, back to this KO and Cody stuff, though, one thing I think that WWE is, quite frankly, kicking AEW's ass at is the way they dovetail stories. Like, I felt like in AEW for the longest time, everything lived in a silo. Like, nothing was crossing over. And now in AEW, I feel like everything's crossing over and it's muddy. And I feel like I don't know where this Moxley thing is going. Like, obviously, he's on a path of destruction. Okay, what does that mean? Like, how many people are on the list? Who's on the list? Like, it feels very aimless to me. And it feels like they just, at the end of Full Gear, they were like, here's a bunch of guys. Like, we're going to set up a 4-way at some point, obviously. But like, and there's logical connections, but I feel like the way like Kevin Owens was justifying all this stuff with Cody, with his own history with the Bloodline, who Cody had history with, like, that felt so much cleaner to me than what AEW has been doing.
I feel like AEW doesn't do enough of that. Like, I was talking about it with Alex on the Full Gear post show. I was like, you know what would have made that Kyle O'Reilly segment where he came out and interrupted Adam Cole in front of that boring crowd that fell asleep in front of it? It would have been if he would have brought it back, because Kyle O'Reilly's in the conglomeration, who's feuding with Jon Moxley and the Death Riders, who are trying to take over AEW, who Jon Moxley has the AEW world title that Adam Cole wants. Adam Cole showed up at the end with all the baby faces at Wrestle Dream, but he's been distracted over here with MJF. How about you say, stop being obsessed with this guy? This guy's trying to take over the company. He's beating up everybody. He has the world title that you want so much. Stop focusing on him. Bring it back over here. That would have made the Moxley Death Riders storyline feel bigger because now it's in more storylines. The reason why the Bloodline storyline is so huge is how many different stories it's affected and how many different characters it's had consequences and ramifications for. You could say the Bloodline storyline created CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre, because Drew McIntyre doesn't turn heel if it wasn't for Clash at the Castle. But it also, you could say CM Punk and Drew McIntyre doesn't happen if not for Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins. CM Punk and Drew McIntyre doesn't happen if not for CM Punk and Seth Rollins. See how many different stories, within Bloodline and CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, you have so many different outlier stories that are involved in it, and it makes those storylines feel bigger, where those are like the two top stories in all of wrestling in 2024. So you got to make things feel like have some consequences for other people coming out of it, and it will allow that storyline to kind of flourish even more.
Honestly, SP3, I'm just saying, like, friend to friend, if you were obsessed with somebody and you could be focusing on a world championship instead, I would, as your friend, I would tell you that. So, I just want to let you know the type of friend that I am. Where
instead of telling me you're obsessed with that guy, so I'm gonna fight him.
Yeah,
that's what they did.
And I'm gonna tell you that in the middle of the ring and no other type of setup. But we're not here to talk AEW. We're here to talk this episode of SmackDown. Great stuff from Kevin Owens. I just can't say enough about it. The production of this was all very cool too. Where the more cinematic stuff, that always sends me down a rabbit hole, because I'm like, it's effective, but I don't know if I like it because it's very dramatic and cheesy. But all of wrestling is dramatic and cheesy. Why don't I like it? Like, it really gets me in this loop about about wrestling. But we're going to continue down the line here, guys. Get those super chats and humper chats in. We are talking about Survivor Series, and we do want to tell you about some of those betting odds at our wonderful partner in Bet Online AG. I'm going to let Sean Ross Sapp tell you all about him first, and then we're going to run down the odds for tomorrow's card and fill you in on some of that.
I want to talk to you guys about our great partner at BetOnline AG. Yes, the place that lets you bet on pro wrestling. We've gotten our pro wrestling betting odds from them for years, well before we even worked with them. And we're going to tell you a little bit more about them. They got the earliest lines, the fastest payout, the industry best bonuses. They've been trusted for 25 plus years because of their safe and secure environment and their quick payouts. But you can bet on pro wrestling. How cool is that? If you think you know more than anybody, go ahead and look at those odds. It's the same ones you've seen on Fightful for years. You might see one that sticks out to you and you go, wait a second, there's no way that person's going to win. Why are they an underdog? Make yourself some money. BetOnline AG. And hey, it doesn't stop there. Whatever sports you want, they got you covered. Popular games like blackjack and roulette, Supernova, Skyward, all that stuff. BetOnline AG. Please bet responsibly and only bet what you can at BetOnline AG.
That's such a catchy theme in the background of that one, but we're going to talk some WWE Survivor Series. Hey, if you are subscribed to Fightful Select, you want to talk about dovetailing, I'll tell you about how you should be subscribed to Fightful Select and use our sponsor of BetOnline AG. We had some underdog lock picks that have done really well for people. The last one, Jay White, was not favorited to win, and people won some money off of that one. If you were subscribed to Fightful Select, you knew all about who to bet on for that underdog lock pick. But going into Survivor Series, Gunther is at a minus 5,000. I think that's probably pretty likely there. But Braun Breaker favored to retain at a minus 900, with Sheamus at a plus 500 and Ludwig Kaiser at a plus 1,000. This one's interesting to me because I think betting-wise it goes that way, but I think story-wise, SP3 could get really interesting with Sheamus. Like, because with Braun, I feel like in this mid-card title, you can hot potato a couple times, letting Sheamus have like this IC title run, and then maybe Braun wins it back at Royal Rumble going into Mania season, so you're not burning through too many mid-card feuds on Raw. I think that's something that could be very compelling. So I don't know if I would put money on it, because I think Braun Breaker probably walks out with that title, but that would be a fun, creative one. What are you expecting from that triple threat?
I think that you can make some solid money if you want to throw a couple of dollars on Ludwig Kaiser at what was
Ooh,
it plus
okay.
1,000? Because
Yeah.
I really like the story that he kind of told. I think it was on Raw Talk this week where he talked about that he wants the Intercontinental Championship because it's lost its prestige ever since Gunther lost the title. So he needs to win it back to restore the title, to restore it and put it next to the World Heavyweight Championship. So Imperium have the two top singles titles on Monday Night Raw. So I like that story. I like what they're doing with them. That's the only part of the current Gunther storyline that I enjoy. So gonna go with Kaiser.
I'm with you on that. And when Braun Breaker went flying into the announce table and hit the corner of it with his sternum, I was holding my breath because I thought
Yes.
he wasn't going to be able to anymore. Like, that was insane. But we have our men's War Games match where the faces are at a minus 250 and the Bloodline and Bronson Reed are at a plus 170. I might bet on that. I might put money on the Bloodline and Bronson Reed because I think Punk might turn heel and cost them there. In the women's War Games match, you have the faces at a minus 130 and the Judgment Day, Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton, and Candice LeRae at a minus 110 right now. So that's an interesting one. Your thoughts on both War Games matches, where we're going with that?
I think that the OG Bloodline is going to win the men's War Games, but
Okay.
I do agree with you. I wouldn't mind putting a couple of dollars on the new Bloodline because there's always a chance that could happen. But I think that you have 4 of the top 8 faces in the company on the OG Bloodline. I think it's a safe bet to go with them.
That's fair.
The women's War Games, I think, is more of a toss-up, and I think that you see that with the odds, where I could see a situation, you have Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Bayley, Naomi, and Io Sky on one team. You would take that team 9 times out of 10, but I think the odds are so close is because WWE traditionally doesn't have the baby faces win both War Games. So there is a strong stance that Liv's team, especially having the 2 top champions on their team, gets the win tomorrow. But I'm still going to go with Team Rhea.
Okay, and the men's side, you also have the advantage going to the OG Bloodline, and the women's, you have them having the advantage on the face side. I could see either way that going. So that's an interesting one. Is the advantage going to be
the new Bloodline have the advantage in the men's War Games?
I'm sorry. Yes, my apologies. Yes, Jacob Fatu, who we're going to talk about later, and then LA Knight, a minus 220 favorite over Shinsuke at a plus 165. So head over to BetOnline AG. Great sponsor to us. We appreciate them so much. Will chiming in saying that Drew doesn't turn heel if Cody brings Jay to Raw because Jay was there with Roman. Yeah, that was an interesting. It was weird that Cody used his political power to get Jay Uso on Raw. That was an interesting one. That was an interesting one for sure.
Interesting tactic, Cody Rhodes. Yeah. But I have a question for you. It's been bugging me ever since Monday. Okay, why does Triple H think that he can reinvent War Games? Because we have been through 40 years of War Games, and this concept does not work when the baby faces have the advantage. Yet he's like allergic to it. Like someone in the creative room starts saying, "Hey, Triple H, how about we have the heels have the advantage in both matches?" He's like, "I'm allergic. I'm sorry. I can't do that. I'm sick. Oh my God. How could you even suggest that?"
Get me my Allegra. I am just sneezing, rejecting the thought of it.
God, no.
It does feel like they're like, no, there's got to be a way that we can make it work with the baby faces having the advantage. It just doesn't. But that women's War Game match isn't the strongest build. But let's talk about that segment that kicks off at the top of the show. We do get a quick recap with CM Punk and the Bloodline storyline, setting up the face-to-face later. But back in the arena, the women's War Games teams take the stage. We have Bianca Belair, Naomi, Io Sky, Bayley, and Rhea addressing what's coming up. Rhea saying kind of despite their differences that they are unified and that they are pretty generic stuff here, that they're going to annihilate their opponents, and Naomi and Bianca kind of echoing that. and promising retribution for the past attacks, which that part of this I've liked. They have acknowledged on both sides the history, especially between Bianca and the rest of the women involved. And Io adds kind of her confidence about it. And you get her kind of putting over what's going on here. And Liv and Nia Jax kind of counter with the possible implosions that could happen on that babyface side, especially with Jade being taken outright. And then we get a classic brawl. Like this is a better segment than it probably had a right to be, considering the build, but it is a classic, like the brawl before War Games, right? They just can't be contained. It's just tough because it was like the last PLE, they were like, nope, Nia and Liv are mortal enemies. They could never. And now they're like, they're just friends just because. Like, it's rough. It's definitely better than my t-shirt is red and your t-shirt is blue, but this feels like the men's one has had a very calculated plan for a very long time, and the women's one got a little more thrown together. Like you said, once that bell rings, I think we are off and running with both sides that we have here. But what did you think of our opening promo tonight?
This was a fine kind of paint by the numbers opening segment. Like if I said, hey, we got this women's War Games matchup, you got 2 minutes to come up with the opening segment. That's probably what I would think they would do. Yeah. This is like have Rhea Ripley come out, get a big pop. You know, hey, Bianca Belair gets a big pop. All the baby faces get their separate entrances. Rhea says some stuff. Each member says some stuff. They do a back and forth with the heels. Do a big brawl. They get separated. Baby faces stand tall in the ring. Very much paint by the numbers. So yes. I enjoyed it for what it was. Is it anything that I'm gonna remember? No. Basically like the build to this match.
Yeah, it's going to be a great match that had no appropriate build, but they did at least lean into like the history of the people involved, which is so much better than like we had so many years of brand supremacy. So it's a half-baked story, but it's still better than a lot of what we've kind of previously gotten since we've had like women's Survivor Series matches. So
I would have liked if this was a Survivor Series elimination match more than a War Games.
You know, I really wish we saw more of those traditional ones. I really do. Like I love those. Like I'm a fan of those for sure. I also think I'm gonna sound so possibly stupid with this. It was Deadly Games, right? Was the tournament of the Survivor Series one? I wasn't watching at that time, and that's from an era I don't go back and watch. So I was like, am I dumb, or is that the name of this thing? It would be cool if we were even doing stuff like that. Like, I feel like we've gotten too reliant on the benchmark of War Games almost. Like, when you know it's going to be there every year, it kind of takes away from how special it is, I feel like. And it's too violent of a match not to be used for just complete blood feud. So like do a traditional Survivor Series match, do a Deadly Games tournament style thing or something. I think that could be really fun. But
this is the first year since they brought it to the main roster that War Games very much feels like Hell in a Cell. Feels like, oh, it's that time of the year. We're doing War Games. And I think it stands out more this year to everyone because, like you said, of how intricately built the men's War Games is. Like we've been basically talking about it for a year that this is going to lead to a Bloodline War Game. This is a fan idea from like 2 years ago. Oh, they should do like a Bloodline, all Bloodline War Game
versus Bloodline. Wait, we're only in the third inning. What could the other innings look like? This is certainly one of the innings. Yeah.
Imagine the 7th inning with a Bloodline War Games, and now we're getting it. So with the way that the whole women's War Games whole thing came about, it very much feels like a kid who wakes up in homeroom and remembers he didn't do his science homework, and then he has to quickly do his science homework as he's walking to the next class. That's what it feels like with the women's War Games in comparison to the men's War Games.
I agree, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have 4,760 of you tuned in right now. There are a lot of people hanging out with us, a lot of wonderful wrestling fans hanging out, watching our SmackDown post show, watching SmackDown tonight, including wrestling into their Thanksgiving weekend, which is just awesome. I'll take a moment to remind you of a couple things too. I'm sorry that we're plugging again, but a lot more of you are watching now than were at the beginning of the show. So we will remind you to subscribe to FightfulSelect.com. I kind of told you some of the more recent breaking news that was on there, but we do have the Fightful Awards coming up as well. And those are subscriber voted. So you're going to want to subscribe if you want to participate in the voting process of those. Sean's been trying to also iron out some of the wrinkles in those, in that, like, are we going to have a vote for which Will Ospreay match gets put in the match of the year contention? Or is it just going to be 5 Will Ospreay matches that could be in contention for that? Because that guy's just a phenom on a different level, right? So we're cleaning up that whole process. Fightful Select also has a Discord where you can participate in those conversations as well as the Ask SRS channel if you want to get your questions answered there. But in addition to FightfulSelect.com and the awards, we also will tell you that sponsorships are open. We have 14 sponsors already. It is going to be a NordVPN Presents show as well. They've been adding even more support to that award show, but categories are $100 or sponsorship is. You can email me at kate@fightful.com. If you would like more information, I can tell you all about the exposure. Last year, we had 35,000 views. It's hosted by Denise and Sean. We now have 500,000 combined social media followers. And as we're expanding to platforms like Blue Sky and Threads, that number is going up even higher. So you get a lot of bang for your buck. You get a lot of bang for your buck there. So head over to Fightful Select. So many reasons to subscribe. So many of you have already, and we appreciate it. That is how we pay the bills around here. But me, Norma, saying it was fun that year when NXT was involved in Survivor Series, though the t-shirt color wars were getting old. At least they're trying to tell stories. Yes, it's definitely a step in the right direction. That NXT Survivor Series just outkicked its coverage so much more than it should have. Like, that was a lazy idea that was executed by the talent so incredibly well. So incredibly well.
Yeah, it was perfect. It came at the perfect time, and the fact that happened, it literally, when I was thinking about Survivor Series history earlier this week, I completely forgot that they kept doing the brand versus brand 2 more years after that. In my mind, I had erased the 2020 Survivor Series and 2021 as the brands, even though I went to the 2021 one because that was at Barclays Center. So I erased that from my mind.
It's so funny because she, like, Becky's iconic moment of her nose breaking was on the build to that. And I was like, it was still such a bad build, but it had one of the coolest moments in women's wrestling history ever. But we are moving along our SmackDown post show. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We're going to talk about this Andrade and Shinsuke match, which was really... I just, like, finally Andrade is wrestling consistently on my television, because, like, there's so many little things, like just even his dragon screw leg whip in this, I was like, just done to perfection. The 3 amigos with that last amigo being thrown into the corner was so gnarly, and I loved the ending that we get here with Nakamura moving out of the way from the corner and Andrade basically taking himself out. And then post-match we have LA Knight coming in to presumably talk that S. And he gets Muda misted, which I think is a fun thing to have Shinsuke bring back from Japan. Of course, retiring the great one over there, not The Rock, Great Muda. But a good match. Glad Shinsuke is back. Glad they're immediately making him feel important, since on Raw for that stretch of time, it was like incredible vignettes, and then he would lose very high-profile matches. That was it. So, what did you think of this match? And then what did you think of the quick post-match that we got here?
I thought it was a fine matchup. Solid work from both guys. I like the finish a lot. Just the way Nakamura did it. And especially because of how they shot it, you didn't even see that he took the turnbuckle pad off until Andrade dropped down and you saw the turnbuckle pad on the mat. So it was good stuff there. Nakamura coming up a different way. Can we talk about the theme music, though? That was the best part. The new theme music. I was like, oh, this actually lived up to the hype, because you had Corey Graves giving it the big introduction. He's like, ladies and gentlemen, get ready for a banger. I was like, who do you think you are, the White Funk Flex? Like, what are we doing here? But then the song hit, and I was like, okay, all right, y'all can have this one. Y'all right. It was a good remix. That's a good remix. So very well done. Very well done there. It does fit with the whole look that he's coming across here, but they've done good with the new music. They done good with the new look. The vignettes we had from before that were working, it's back now with a little bit more of a darker feel. This is all fine and dandy. It all goes to hell or poof if he loses tomorrow night. So he has to win because y'all decided to book this match on this show. It's not my fault. That's on y'all. So he got to win now.
If you're putting this on and not Cody, it would be cool to have a title change here. I don't think we get it, but I wouldn't mind it because I also think you could just have LA Knight win it back. Like, there's no harm in hot potatoing in the mid card when you're having more defenses than you ever have. So I think that's an inspired choice. I don't have confidence it's one that they will make. We also get a promo later where LA Knight is being cleaned up by the Mudamists in the back. He then gives a promo that essentially says nothing, very artfully, as LA Knight can do. Like, his delivery is compelling on its own, but I was listening to the words he was saying, and I was like, you didn't really say anything.
He didn't say anything. He literally mumbled for like the first 5 minutes of the promo.
He was like, Nakamura was away, and now he's got a problem with me, and so I'm going to have a fight with him tomorrow. Like, he really
And let me tell you something, and let me tell you that.
And I'm going to drop you on your head, because everybody's saying LA Knight. Like, it was, people just love seeing LA Knight and popping for him. That's awesome, but this was maybe the weakest written thing on the show, for sure. For sure,
this includes CM Punk telling us 5,000 times he did this.
I'm here for Paul Heyman. But we talked about how this was like a better SmackDown considering it was a pre-tape and a go home. And we've been talking about how thankful we are on this Thanksgiving weekend. But why be thankful when you can be sour with a hat on? Hi, Alex Pulaski. How are you?
It's the one weekend a year I get to wear it. So, you know what I mean?
My gosh. I mean, wear it, man.
We went to a really fancy restaurant last night and I wore it and I got some reactions. And I said 2 things which are true. It's a family tradition in that I wear it every Thanksgiving.
Sure.
And 2, it's the one night a year I get to wear it. And so everyone was like, well, can't argue with that. So
not a lie has been told. Not a lie has been told. You have your own gobbledygooker out there. I
do. Yes. I do. I have that. I'm very happy to hear my brother SB3, who has also said the correct thing, which is that Nakamura needs to win this match. I wouldn't mind it, but if he doesn't, it's over. Goodbye. Just sorry. Bye-bye, Shinsuke. The thing that's great is that he did a whole vignette about how LA Knight is secretly doubting himself and he's desperate for the people's adulation. And to make the story work, Nakamura has to be proven right in the short term and wrong in the long term. If he wins now, then does LA Knight start doubting himself? Does he have a really bad December, but somehow get a shot at the U.S. title at the Royal Rumble, that he wins it back from Nakamura having overcome? Nakamura can have a 2-month title reign. That's fine. But you know what he can't do? Lose tomorrow and then keep cutting vignettes about how LA Knight is doubting himself. Why would he doubt himself? He just beat you at Survivor Series. So the only thing that can happen, the only thing that is allowed to happen is tomorrow, Shinsuke Nakamura, I don't care if he cheats to do it, but he's got to beat LA Knight. And then LA Knight can win it back at Royal Rumble, take the title into WrestleMania. That's a perfectly easy thing to do. And again, as you said, no Cody Rhodes on the show tomorrow. Like, spice it up in some way. Do something with these other title matches, because I don't think any of the other current champions are losing. So I just don't think it's possible.
It was just you tilted your head a little bit in the... Man, Alex, those were some really wonderful insights. I just wish there was somewhere that I could watch you talk about Survivor Series tomorrow. If there was somewhere that, gosh.
There's the place. It's called Fightful Select.
What?
It's only $5 a month. And you are going to be the co-host. You, Kate. Yes, you're going to be the co-host on a Survivor Series recap show. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Oh my goodness. We will be doing that on FightfulSelect.com tomorrow on the main channel. Your Collision Crew plus Phil Lindsay is going to be doing your normal Survivor Series review. And then Alex, you can wear that hat again tomorrow if you need to. Like I mean,
if the mood strikes me, I don't want to promise in case I'm not feeling like, the turkey hat is is
Sure.
quite appropriate. You know what I mean?
I understand that. I understand that for sure,
Makes
especially because like we're basically in Christmas season right now.
Right.
So.
Yes, it's true. I do know one thing. The turkey hat tomorrow night, regardless, would be the turkey hat in the middle of summer would be a more appropriate than the inclusion of the Seattle Space Needle on the Vancouver, BC merch that WWE put out. It's 150 miles away in a different country. And they're like, look at this amazing skyline of Vancouver. And there's the Space Needle on it. And apparently people who live in Vancouver are like, what? So I think that's very funny.
You can see it from space. Of course, you can see it from Vancouver.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
what
that's
all
true.
of that means. Everything I said is accurate. So.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, do you want to stick around or do you want to get out of here?
I just wanted to say this thing. The one thing that made me not upset, but go is they spent all that time with that amazing best of 7 series with Melo and Andrade, and then they got them the triple threat match versus LA Knight, and since then Andrade was off TV, just off TV since he lost that triple threat, and then he comes back on to lose to Shinsuke. And I get I get that you're building. I'm not saying he should have beat Shinsuke. I'm just saying, is there nobody else we could find
to lose
who
to
didn't
Shin?
invest all that time, TV time? Like, and this is why I always say it doesn't. There's no merit in getting emotionally invested in the people that they're pushing for 6 weeks, because then they could just stop pushing them to the point where they're not even on television anymore.
Sure.
I mean, I didn't expect either Melo or Andrade to beat LA Knight necessarily, but I thought there would be a follow-up.
Yeah,
I thought
there would have been a definitive conclusion of the best of 7 or something. Yeah.
Maybe instead of making like putting Sheamus with Cesaro, you put Andrade with Carmelo, and instead of the bar, they're El Barrio. You know what I mean? Like maybe
El Barrio.
Maybe that's what they are. I mean, you know.
El Barrio Harlem. There we go.
There you go. El Barrio del Harlem. There you go.
That fits both of them.
That fits both of them. That's good.
I agree with you, because this is now the second best of 7 series in the past 8 years that didn't have a winner. And this one, they didn't even try to give us any like definitive close to it, because at least with the bar, they put them together. That's the end of the series.
Yeah.
This one, they just said, oh no, they both lost a triple threat. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's have this guy lose to the champion. Let's have this guy lose to someone we're setting up for the U.S. champion. Have a day.
I know. I made the joke of El Barrio, and you said of Harlem. There's a perfect name for these two dudes together, and it already exists in the further context, which is why it's so perfect. You just call them Spanish Harlem. Spanish Harlem is a perfect tag team name for Andrade and Melo. It's so perfect. Now you have to make them a tag team, because Spanish Harlem wins all the belts. Spanish Harlem wins all the belts, man. That's it.
I cannot with your hat right now.
You could reunify the tag team titles as long as Spanish Harlem is the tag team that holds both of them at the same time.
There you go.
There you go.
I'm here for this. I want them to book this now. Now I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be upset off of something that Alex booked.
Well, welcome to my life.
This is what happens. I come up with things, and then I'm like, they got to do it now, and then they never do it, and it makes me sad. So I'll let you guys finish. I'm sure you've already talked about CM Punk and Roman Reigns in a wonderful short film that was full of close-ups.
I just want you to know that I'm not showing up to the Fightful Select post show for you tomorrow. I'm showing up for my best friends. Okay.
Showing up for Paul Heyman.
I'm showing up
I showed up to this post show.
I'm not doing it for you. Once again, I know I have mentioned this several times before.
I cannot stress enough that I'm not doing this for you, man.
Of all the people that I am doing this for, you not at all, him all of it.
Not on the list.
There's boxes to check. Who are you doing this for? Check Paul Heyman or check Roman Reigns? Check Paul Heyman. You notice I did not check the box next to your name, good sir.
Nor did I check the box that said see both of the above. So really, You are not included at all. But check me and Alex Pulowski out. Might the Gobbledygooker hat join us? I don't know. We're going to find out together.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Join us on FightfulSelect.com. Alex also normally has a Rampage watch along going on while he's reviewing SmackDown as well.
Rampage. I'm not even supposed to be here today.
No, I didn't mean right now. I mean on normal weeks. That's what you're
I'm saying I was supposed to take the whole night off, but we were supposed to stay an extra night at the hotel, but the sleeping arrangements were terrible. So we drove back today. And I got here at about 3 minutes until the show was over, and then watched the entirety of SmackDown. Missed nothing. Watched the entirety of it in 50 minutes. It just skip
the video packages.
Yeah. I mean, I already saw them, so I know what happened. I mean, come on. So yeah. So I'm here now, even though I wasn't supposed to be, just so I could pop everybody with the turkey hat.
You're a good friend, like Kevin Owens.
And come up with the greatest tag team name in the history of wrestling, Spanish Harlem.
Spanish Harlem.
There you go.
Spanish Harlem.
All right. Well, bye-bye, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. We have fun here. We have fun here. We're going to dive back into this episode of SmackDown. Get in those super chats and humper chats. We've got a little bit more to work through here. Setting up our main event, we do have Nick Aldis banning everybody from ringside. Both teams accept that to be true. I will say there was a shift toward clean finishes and less nonsense on the show, and boy, was that refreshing, because we have been getting crazy amounts of distraction finishes, and not even good ones, like ones that just, did somebody enter? Their music hit? I simply am captivated. Got a roll up. Like, we were getting that kind of crap over and over and over again. Very nice to just have some definitive wins on the show and less distractions in general. Nick Aldis continuing to be a much more effective GM than Adam Pearce. My apologies to him, but there you go. Any thoughts on that? They were both pretty standard of, hey, it has to be a clean match tonight. You've got more games tomorrow. Take care of your business then.
They just seem to make Nick Aldis look like the only competent authority figure on the major two companies in pro wrestling.
Yes, truly. Let's get into this Gargano and Ciampa segment. We get back from commercial break to find Ciampa and Gargano arguing basically about Ciampa's attitude, which I like, and Ciampa kind of makes the case for them getting title shots because of it. And Johnny's like, "You've changed, man." And Ciampa's like, "No, I haven't. I don't care about the Motor City Machine Guns. I never did." And then Johnny Gargano is letting friendship get in the way and be more important than titles. And Ciampa is going to play things his way, and Johnny has the week to figure things out before they go Ciampa's way as like the right way was kind of the thing here, that Ciampa's way is the weather vane of things. What do you think of this? I thought this was an effective segment, and Ciampa is just one of the most believable promos in all of wrestling, I feel like.
This is the follow-up we needed after the last few weeks, and I think that we kind of got the tell last week with the backstage segment with Johnny Gargano and Motor City Machine Guns, and the Machine Guns turning down the offer to give them a rematch for the WWE Tag Team Championships. So we kind of needed this to kind of Ciampa trying to talk some sense into Johnny Gargano, because you would think with him pushing him down the past 2 weeks that might be the end of the partnership. But this year kind of confirmed that they're still a partnership. They just have to figure out which way they want to go to getting a shot back at the WWE Tag Team Championships. And I think that we saw during his final run in NXT, I think Johnny Gargano is going to be a good heel. He was a good heel with the way during that run. And I think him and Ciampa, I don't think he needs to be the kind of the psycho killer that Ciampa is, but just being kind of the sneaky kind of thinker of the two. While Ciampa goes more on emotion, Johnny will be more of the strategic heel to his side that he needs. So I think that's the way that they're going to go. I think they're not going to split up DIY, because that wouldn't be wise.
I'm split on this. I love the idea of Johnny Gargano, to your point, being like the cagey one of the two of them, and Ciampa being like the the detective Stabler of it all, like the guy who throws the rule book out the window as an acting on emotion and working in that way. I just don't know, and it's partly just the booking of both tag divisions overall, to be quite honest. Like, I don't know where they go as a tag team from here. Like, it just doesn't feel like they're going to be lined up to get a real title run anytime soon. That doesn't involve Cleveland. Like, and look, I know I'm a Steelers fan, but like nothing good comes out of Cleveland. You know what I mean? Like, not the Browns, not the
I have a point.
like, so, and I'm a Yankee fan, so bye-bye Guardians. You know what I mean? So, but I do think they're two of the best performers. So I'm fatigued on breakup angles. I'm fatigued on will they, won't they angles. That's mostly AEW's fault, because everything there is like, are they going to turn on their friend? Everything over there right now. But I would love it if Ciampa just convinced him. That could be really fun. That could be really, really fun. Well, I'll tell you what's fun. Having security on your Wi-Fi connection, on your phone connection, darn it, right on your router even. I'll tell you what else is fun. Paying less for pay-per-views, because we're not on Max yet on the AEW side, all right? There's one service that can get you there. There are awards sponsor for the Fightful Awards. You know them, you love them around these parts. They truly are wonderful to us. Darn it. Throw it up for NordVPN.
I have long talked with you guys about the content that you can access with NordVPN.com/Fightful, but it doesn't just stop at pro wrestling. You can get MMA and boxing pay-per-views at a much more affordable price when you change your virtual location with just one click using NordVPN.com/Fightful. It doesn't stop there either. Football games. Man, if you want to check out those out-of-market football games, you don't have to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars. You can get NordVPN.com/Fightful and just change your virtual location. How about baseball games? They make it harder than ever to actually watch baseball games. It is a task. Not with NordVPN.com/Fightful. They got everything you need, in addition to all the threat protection and security that comes with NordVPN. But if you want that content, NordVPN.com/Fightful is right for you.
We have fun. We have fun here. All right, it's Thanksgiving weekend. We're dancing to NordVPN ads. We sincerely are so thankful for their sponsorship and, quite frankly, their expansion of their sponsorship coming into 2025. They've been so wonderful to us at our partnership and are investing even more in us. And I really love what we do with them, because it is also genuinely the biggest discount you can get with the code Fightful pretty much of anything. If you signed up for multiple years with the code Fightful, you get an insane percentage off. So they're really, really wonderful to us. If you have been thinking about getting a VPN, or you just want to explore it, their customer service team is genuinely quite good. It can be a little confusing to set things up, but they'll get you set up right, and they've been just fantastic to us. Meet Norma saying, went to college in Ohio. Cleveland sucks indeed. We're not Detroit. That's what I always go to, is that YouTube video. Our economy plan is LeBron James, or whatever they say. Oh God. Look, even Ohio's like, yeah, we're not the best. You know, they even know. Hey,
yeah, everybody I know lives in Ohio is like that. Yeah,
they're like, yeah, I ended up here. This is not where I plan to go. Feel free to send in more Chad shooting on Ohio. We appreciate that. I'm thankful for shooting on Ohio. Let's dig into this women's match. Really, really good stuff in this triple threat. We, of course, have Michin defeating Lash Legend and Piper Niven. This was another match that had a pretty clever ending. Clean, good endings. We got to see a couple of them tonight. Whoever these match agents were took better care than we've been seeing. I really, really liked what we got, but a good physical match. Piper Niven is so impressive for the difference maker she is, and her and Lash Legend getting to tango a couple times is really special. Lash has improved dramatically in her time in NXT, and she looked a little bit rough at parts in this, but she's got such a high ceiling, and as she continues to acclimate to the roster. I think sky is the limit for her. Her strength is so impressive. I think it was just being in a triple threat. Like things felt kind of stilted at points, and she was literally lifting up Piper Niven multiple times in this match. Like she had some real strong girl stuff to do in there, but that's kind of what we get at the end here. We do have BFAB running off Chelsea Green, who already qualified for this. Piper gets distracted, and there's a great pump kick from Lash Legend in this, but Michin wins this after Piper Niven gets hit with that lash extension. They kind of take each other out, and you just have Michin capitalizing in a really great way. One of my favorite things about Michin is how just ring IQ smarts. Like she's one of the best counter wrestlers in wrestling, male or female. I say that all the time, but she's always doing really, really clever stuff. And I liked an ending where she looked like, it didn't look heelish because it didn't feel like she was stealing someone's pin. It looked like she was just being smart and capitalizing on two women who are stronger than her, probably a little faster than her. This I thought was all upside. I think the right woman won. Kind of intrigued to see where this goes because I feel like there are multiple women that have qualified that could win it. I think it's possible Chelsea wins it. I think it's possible Michin wins it. What did you think of this match, and how are you feeling about this tournament kind of in general?
Another solid matchup from the tournament, which has had some good matchups throughout. I thought that Michin was really good here as like the glue of the matchup. She's the
great
veteran.
at that, yep.
Yeah, she was the veteran here, kind of putting everything together, kind of giving the ring to Lash and Piper to have the hoss fight that they were able to have. I agree with you that Lash kind of had kind of clunky moments in the matchup, but she's still improving, and she's come such a long way. We talk about it every time we talk about Lash Legend, is how far she came from those first couple of matches that we saw from her back in the NXT 2.0 days to where she is now. Piper Niven is so good. I felt like the finish was a little off. It didn't look like Michin hit the senton.
Yeah.
It looked like she kind of whiffed on the senton. But
I couldn't tell if it was the camera angle or the senton, but I think it just missed.
Yeah. I didn't know if it was a camera angle, but then I was like, I remembered it's a pre-tape, so I was like, that was done.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That was done on purpose.
Yeah.
It was done on purpose because she didn't hit it. So they chose the camera angle where you can't see it. So that was
right.
Hey, that's why you pre-tape stuff. And then you could work the camera in different ways like that. So good on WWE to hide that. But I like Michin moving on. It makes me feel like my original prediction for the Women's U.S. Championship tournament was Chelsea Green versus Tiffany Stratton in the finals, continuing their rivalry that started ahead of Money in the Bank and coming out of Money in the Bank, but they've kind of let that go on the back burner for a while. But bring it back here in the finals of the U.S. Championship tournament, and Chelsea Green becomes the inaugural champion.
I feel like it should be Chelsea's to win. I hope they give that to her. She's done such valuable work for them. I like that Tiffany being on the other side of that feels like the right call. I think it could also be the beginning of the end of her and Piper's alliance. I hope they have other plans for Piper, but the fact that Chelsea qualified and Piper didn't, like there's places you could go with that. You could also just have her be the heavy during the title race. There's not a problem with that at all. But Will, echoing what we're saying, I love how good Lash Legend has been looking in 2024. She's looked even better in the tag matches, I think, than she did tonight, which is also impressive because they didn't have a lot of reps on NXT on television. Like, not really.
No.
So impressive that there's been that much progress with not a lot of matches to assist. So good stuff for the Metaphor ladies. Love that for them. Let's move on to this Cody Rhodes and Carmelo Hayes match, which was a lot of fun. There was a really fun face buster for the near fall in this. Cody won the first one. We got a pre-match promo here saying with friends like Cody who needs enemies, he won't stab you in the back, he'll stab you in the heart. But Cody picking up the Crossroads for the win here. Really good maximizing of both of their strengths. Like, I think there were a lot of times Carmelo looked faster, more athletic. I think there were a lot of times where Cody just looked smarter. And I thought that was great. Like, that's what you want in a match like this, because I think this story is not going to end here, right? Carmelo lost 2 to Cody. He's the veteran. I think you could see like, okay, he was smarter than me that time. How can I be smarter than him next time? Like probably after he drops the title, but this is a good base for referential wrestling, essentially. What did you think of what we got here?
Right now, the Carmelo Hayes and Cody Rhodes kind of mini feud that we've seen develop this first year feels very much akin to John Cena versus The Miz, where Miz really kind of cut his teeth and became the fastest rising star in WWE in those early 2010s on the back of a feud in the mid card with John Cena. And it feels like that's what Carmelo is kind of using Cody Rhodes to be his John Cena and moving up the card. I thought that this matchup, while it wasn't as good as their first matchup after the WWE draft episode, I think that this match was a fun one. It was a good matchup. I like Carmelo Hayes, and his moveset is so versatile. Like the suplex into the cutter and stuff like that, and the way he sells moves, like him taking the Cody cutter was great. It was great stuff.
Yeah.
Just how he just went full out, took it, and then Cody finishing up. And then the crossroads where he does the freaking headstand. I call it the Rob Van Dam cell because that's how Rob Van Dam used to sell all his DDT, doing a headstand and then bouncing up and stuff. So that's what Carmelo Hayes, how he sold the crossroads here. So really good stuff. And I like it kind of like how they did the Kevin Owens pre-tape video promo into this. It was a nice little follow-up, but this is why it should be on the show tomorrow.
Yeah.
Come on, Saturday night's main event. You got a show tomorrow.
I understand wanting to juice up that show, but like you said, they could very easily run this back for a third match between them, or load it up with other stuff. Like it's Saturday night's main event. I know you want to make a splash with it, but like, let's be so for real. Like this is your world champion of the company and your number one merch seller, and Kevin
this is gonna be
Owens.
The first premium live event he's missed this year. He's appeared on all 12.
Oh, really?
He's appeared on all 12 premium live events for WWE, and he's wrestled on 11 of them. The only one he didn't wrestle on was Elimination Chamber when he was on the Grayson Waller effect with Seth Rollins ahead of WrestleMania.
I stand corrected. I thought he had missed a couple, but that is that's what you want out of a babyface champion like this after Roman Reigns being so absent for a lot of his title reign. So good on Cody, the workhorse champion that people were calling for. This is good stuff. Good stuff. We're coming to the main event here, guys. Get in your super chats, get in your humper chats. We are going to be winding up soon. We'll remind you of a couple things. Subscribe to FightfulSelect.com. Of course, there will be scoops coming out of Survivor Series and WrestleCade where Sean is getting some interviews. So check that out. Alex Pulowski saying he should have wrestled on Chamber too. He should have wrestled Grayson Waller. That was weird, the lack of Australian performers having matches on that show. Yeah. On Fightful Select as well, you'll have me and Alex Pulowski as you saw him in his stunning traditional Thanksgiving attire. You can hang out with us tomorrow behind the paywall on that main channel. Phil Lindsay with your usual Collision crew. We had to put them out last week because we had the pay-per-view. So we said, you're switching brands. You're getting drafted to WWE this week. And Phil Lindsay, who's just fantastic. Just fantastic. Every time I ask him to fill in on this show, anytime that he's done pay-per-view stuff, he's one of the best, insightful, and measured minds, I feel like, that is in this space. So tune into that one, but watch it after you watch me and Alex. I get to say that because we're behind the paywall. So I'm telling you to spend money on us. You know what I mean? But support both shows. Watch them at the same time like you're at a Julian piano bar. But let's talk about Jacob Fatu in this main event facing Jey Uso. I unfortunately have to move out of the house because when Jey Uso was doing his entrance, my dad said, "Oh, that's cool." So my dad is Team Heat. We don't have divides in the family, really. There was no like weird political things, but he thought that was cool. So no, it is when you're watching it for the first time, the whole crowd's into it. It looks really cool. So That was kind of fun to sit there with someone who doesn't watch every week or any weeks voluntarily. He just has me as a daughter, so he gets stuck with it sometimes. But this was it was nice to see Jacob Fatu in action. Like this ends with the heels thankfully winning the advantage, as should always be the case. Here with a really impressive moonsault from someone who of his size, like the distance and the height that he got, I thought was actually very impressive that this was like in the middle of the ring and he covered it no problem. Because he's a big dude. He's a big, strong guy. Violence. This was super fun. I thought Jay did a really good job, especially early in this, of getting his ass kicked. Like there are some wrestlers where I'm like, okay, I don't really love your super kick, but you do a really good job of making me believe you're getting your butt kicked by Jacob Fatu. And I appreciated that about this. Thank goodness the heels won this, because that should always be the case. I think you're setting up an interesting war game scenario. I would love for the bad guys to win because Punk turns heel, but I'm just been waiting. I was like, and then he turns heel, right? Since the second day he got to AEW. Like that's just been me. So Fatu getting to show out. He doesn't wrestle a ton here because I think he's supposed to be that guy in waiting, right? But it was fun to see him in the singles match. What did you think about how we closed out the show today?
And his first singles match since getting signed to WWE and debuting in June. So yeah, this shows kind of where WWE views Jacob Fatu. The fact that they're putting his first singles match in the main event, and he's facing someone who they've invested so much in, who is one of their top baby faces, arguably their most popular baby face, Jey Uso here. And it's a match that has ramifications for the main event of tomorrow night's show. So it was a big stamp of approval by WWE. And I think that Jacob Fatu made them look smart, because I think that he in my eyes, he's by far the best signing for WWE of 2024. He's the only guy he's the only guy that they signed where I was like, yeah, I don't see any way this guy is not going to be a main eventer in like 2-3 years. Like even with like someone like a Julia, who I love, and I love their work in Stardom. Sure. I'm like, can she translate to the WWE style and the WWE programming? Stephanie Vicaire, it's like, does she know enough English to translate there in the Triple H era and stuff like that? I think Stephanie Vicaire is probably a close second, but Jacob Fatu, there's no question he's going to be a star. He's going to be a main eventer. The way they've treated him, the way they've booked him, the way they've protected him, you can tell that this company believes in him, and he's making them look good in matches like this. This is really kind of like a 2000 or early 2000s main event matchup. They're working the heat. He's doing the rest hold. We builds up to the comeback, but this was kind of like the WWE version of Bobby Lashley versus Swerve Strickland, which I called that one of the better 80-20, 75-25 style pro wrestling matches, where you have a monster heel, but you also have a popular babyface. You can't completely squash the popular babyface, but you need to give him enough hope spots and comebacks where he can get the crowd behind them before he eventually lets them down because he can't overcome the monster heel. And that's how they booked this matchup. That's how they were supposed to book this matchup. The Samoan drop on the table, that looked like it hurt a lot. And then, like you said, and I'm so glad someone backstage in WWE told Jacob Fatu, hey, I understand you like the implant DDT, but the best thing you do is that double jump moonsault.
Yes.
So that should probably be what you pin somebody with. Because that was pissing me off in the summer when he kept doing the double jump moonsault. Then he would pick them up and do an implant DDT. I'm like, what the hell? That's like hitting a Canadian destroyer and then winning with a schoolboy. Like, what are we doing? Do the double jump moonsault. Your finisher should be the best thing you can do. And the double jump moonsault is that for Jacob Fatu.
Yeah, I think what they were going for was you did enough damage with the setup that you could put a punctuation point on it, but I'm in agreement that double jump moonsault is fine on its own, for sure. For sure. Great to see Jacob Fatu looking like a star. And as you kind of pointed out, he was called into the main event picture, and since the day he showed up has looked like a star. Like, he did not get afforded acclamation time they also went out of their way to make that be the case, right? Like he showed up, everybody sold destruction for him. You had Tama Tonga and Tangaloa in the corner, like, what is this guy? He is terrifying. The second he showed up, they were like, we're glad he's on our side. So he is the trust that they've put in him. He has had it pay off in every step of the way here. So I loved when he was like, yeet, and then would hit offense. There was, I think he did that once or twice in this, which was pretty fun, but a good way to go home. We do have Survivor Series tomorrow. This was our go home. I agree with you. I think it was stronger than Raw. So some good stuff considering it was a taped go home. Like that's actually impressive. Good stuff there, guys. TNA Turning Point was also tonight. So lots of wrestling for your Thanksgiving weekend. We're going to see you tomorrow. SP3, thank you so much for joining us and doing so last minute. I love you, SP3.
I love you, Solo. I love you, Kate.
We have fun every Thursday. If you'd like to be in SP3's dynamic here, come hang out with us for that ROH post show. We usually just like complain about ROH and then we review the episode. So it's like a nice blend there, but we got Final Battle coming up. So hopefully it'll be a fun build to that, but stay tuned to Fightful tomorrow, both on Select and the main channel. We got post shows for you. So hang out with us on your wrestling weekend. We are so thankful for you, and in the spirit of gratitude and the Thanksgiving holiday, I just can't say enough about what it means to be able to be on this channel and to share wrestling and parts of my life with you and hear what's going on with you guys and all this. It's such a special, unexpected turn in my life, and to get to work with people like Alex, like SP3, it's so fun to come on here and be in love with what I get to do and who I get to do it with. So thank you so much. Join us tomorrow. SP3, plug away. Anything that you want to say?
Follow me on the Twitter machine at TrueHillSP3. I think I should have a piece coming out on SI.com tomorrow morning, a Survivor Series based list or something like that. You can also check me out on the True Hill Heat Wrestling Podcast, where we got our True Hill Heat flag.
No, you can't plug anything that's not on this channel. No, I'm just kidding. I'm like, no, Sports Illustrated, no, get out of here with that. I'm completely kidding.
Oh my God. But yeah, the True Hill Heat flagship podcast tomorrow, 11:05 a.m. Eastern Time. Myself, the True Draw Josh, and the lovely Miss Chrissy Love will be talking about this week in wrestling. Ricky Starks, AEW, GCW drama. Is Jay Cargill injured or not? Or we don't know. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll talk about it tomorrow. So join us live for that. And thank you so much to Kate. I got my fill of Kate. Thanksgiving gotten away and denied me my Thursday with Kate. So I'm glad she hit me up so I could get my fill of Kate on a Friday and join all of you. Thanks for having me, everyone. Thanks for people who shouting out Quizzlemania and all types of stuff. That was cool. It was a fun time tonight.
Hell yeah, I had so much fun with you, as I always do. And I thought about plugging you muting you during plugs like 5 minutes ago. So just know I was like salivating, waiting for that. I was like, I'm going to let the first one go, but he works so hard at so many different places. Be sure to follow SP3, always producing really valuable content and a great voice in this space. You can follow me at Miss Kate Fabe. You can see me tomorrow on the Survivor Series post show. I didn't tell Alex that, so if he's in the chat tomorrow, I won't be here for the Raw review. I can break his heart tomorrow if he's not still here, but back into our regular rotation next week. Thank you so much. We hope you had a wonderful holiday weekend and continue to. We'll see you tomorrow.